it's recording.
Hi, how you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Okay, I have a question. What is a typical day like at the shelter?
Well, a typical day for me, you would wake up around 6:30 in the morning. You would have a breakfast, and then a lot of us would either walk over here to McDonald's for a bite to eat and something to drink, and use the computer or our phone. Kind of we use our phone as a computer to look for a job. And if we had headphones, we would watch maybe Netflix or Hulu or whatever, and then time would be split up between that and going over to the library and spending time there, printing documents, and filling out applications online, things of that nature. And then the goal would be to get back in time for supper. And if you didn't want to eat there, you would have to at least be back by 9 p.m. Not 9:01, not 9:02, 9 o'clock on the dot. Of course, or sooner. You can line up sooner. And we would have lights out. I believe it was at 10. I might be a little bit wrong about the exact times, but I have to look them up, and the rules may have changed since then. This is 10 years ago. And then if you were not able to get back in time, you would have to stay out. And at the time, the lobby at McDonald's was open 24/7. And as long as you kept to yourself and you didn't make a ruckus or hang out with people that were kind of loud and obnoxious, you would be able to stay there as long as you didn't fall asleep. This isn't New York. You can't fall asleep here in Joliet. So I would sometimes nod off, or I would see another person that was from the shelter, and we would keep each other company and talk so we wouldn't fall asleep. We try to keep each other awake during that time. And we would go for a walk if we felt like we needed to get some fresh air and avoid from falling asleep. Because you don't want to get kicked out. If you're kicked out, you might be banned, so you had to be really careful. So we would go walking, and I'll show you later on where we would walk. And often we would go to Harris Casino. And that was, of course, open 24/7. But obviously the same rules apply there. You cannot fall asleep there. They will kick you out and ban you for life. So one of the things as an option, if you couldn't get back to the shelter, was going to Harris Casinos, but you could not fall asleep there. You would be blacklisted and never get back there again. And you don't want to eliminate your options. Where else would you go, especially in the wintertime? So people would go there and they would have access to their drinks. They have little cups. They would talk in this one open area where people were allowed to smoke, and get up, walk around, maybe have the penny slots and stuff like that if that's what you want to do, or just walk around, kill time until the morning. And that was kind of brutal because it's not like you can go back in the morning and sleep. You would have to sneak a time to sleep either at the library, do it covertly, or some people would take the train somewhere for 2 hours and sleep, and then 2 hours coming back. But that was life being at the being homeless in the Joliet area anyway. Now your actual question was, what was life like at the shelter? And I'll go back to that by saying the shelter was as follows. You get there in the afternoon, late in the afternoon, around 7. You have a meal, and then you would go back to the dorms around 8 o'clock. And at the time, they had mats on the floor. So if you had a bad back, you were uncomfortable. And even if you had a good back, you would have a bad back. before long. And some people would double up and triple up. And technically, you were supposed to have like a doctor's note if you wanted to triple up, because they wanted to make sure they had mats for everybody. And then you had the opportunity to shower and personal grooming, and then you had a locker to keep your stuff in. You had 2 lockers, one small for like your luggage and stuff, and one big for like your clothing and things of that nature. Then in the morning, you would have breakfast, but there were times during the day, like if you wanted to leave, you just couldn't come and go. You had to leave and not come back until 7. But if you wanted to stay there, you could. And then they had classes that teach you how to manage your money and various other things. Case management, you would have one-on-one sessions with your
Were
case manager.
women and men in separate dorms, or were they all together?
The men and women were separate, at least at the time that I went there, with rare exceptions. Like if they had a family, if they were husband and wife or something like that, and they had kids, they sometimes made exceptions, but typically, the exceptions, they had like a family section. It was like 3 sections, men, women, and family. But most of these shelters, if not all of them, are segregated by gender. Like during the day, you would go between different classes and sit in the cafeteria, talk, and they had access to like drinks from choose between like water or some sort of lemonade or something. And then you would sit back down, and then you would see your case manager about something. Let's say that you wanted to do vocational training at JJC or something, and they would try to set you up with classes that met what you're looking for, and the transportation to get there. You didn't have a car, they would try to get you, they called bus vouchers and such. So that's what a day was like. And then at night, it's the same thing, repeat, Then in the morning, you got up at 6 in the morning, ate breakfast, and started the whole thing all over again.
What do they do if you had medication?
If you had medication, and that's a good question. You would have to give it to the front desk for them to give it to you when you needed it. So you weren't able to keep your own medication with you. They wanted you to give it to staff. And then like at night, if you had a nighttime medication to take, they would, they would call your name, and you waited in this room, and then you would line up, and you would they'll give you your pill, and then you would have a little bit of water at a water cooler to take it, and that was it. Now, some people, they didn't have nighttime medication. It was like maybe either during the day or in the afternoon. And I'm not really sure what those people did, to be honest. I think they worked it out. It's not like they would deny you medication. They would always accommodate you one way or another, at least when I went there. And this was 10 years ago.
Was there chores to do?
Yes, there was chores. You would have, at the time when I went there, you had a choice of either signing up for what chore you wanted to do, be it mopping, sweeping, some sort of kitchen duty. Pots and pans was one of the ones. Most people hated that one, and they wouldn't sign up for it. And then sometimes you would be signed up for it, So even if you signed up for another chore, if they'd had no one else, they would put you on that. And some people, I think, volunteered to cook and prepare food, but most of the chores were cleaning related and stuff like that. Yeah.
Were the mats clean on a daily basis?
The mats were supposed to be clean. They remember even before Corona, they would disinfect the mats with a spray and wipe them down, and they seemed to be pretty vigilant about that even back then. Because back then they had the N1H1 swine flu, bird flu, or whatever the heck it was. Yeah, they had something back then. Nothing as serious as what we have now, but they were always conscientious about not getting people sick. I mean, you don't want to get sick or regular flu either. So they were pretty good with that.